Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone. We've still got a couple of guys that we're missing, but we're going to start anyway. So welcome to the calculating the right call-out fee for your business. I'm going to go through the ins and outs and the basics of webinars. Okay, so my name's Gary McNamara. I'll be the moderator for tonight's webinar. Okay, I'm just going to switch on my camera so you can see me, that I'm real, I'm here, and ready to take you through this webinar. Okay, tonight's sponsors are PLUMBLINK, which make it possible to bring you these types of training and information sessions. Okay, so this tonight's repeat webinar will be on how to calculate the right call-out fee for your business. And yeah, I mean, the basics or the starting point of being able to do this webinar is understanding and the basics of maths, to be able to understand how we calculate these call-out fees. So the key thing is to just going through some of the housekeeping is just relax, sit back, enjoy it. Don't stress. If you do, for whatever reason, lose connection, just reconnect and you'll connect straight away. Okay, so basically what's going to happen is throughout the webinar is there's going to be the presenter who's going to present, which is Lee Smith. During the presentation, obviously he'll go through his presentations, and during that presentation there will be some polls. You can also ask questions at any time, and we'll take you through that process of asking questions at a particular point in time. Obviously, we would like to have certain intervals where questions can be asked, but if you do ask a question and there's a lot of the same question coming through, we'll pose it to the presenter. Otherwise, we'll keep it for the allocated time slots. Okay, this webinar, you can obtain 1 CPD point. So after the session, the link to the online assessment will be sent to you, where you will complete the online assessment, and if you pass, you'll get your CPD certificate. Okay, so we're going to go through now quickly just the navigation or control bar. So you'll see this on the right-hand side of your screen. Okay, so this the orange arrow or button with the white arrow is hide this control panel. Hide it or unhide it. If you want to see more of the presentation screen, you can open and close it just like that. Okay, the next one is the speaker. For these webinars, everyone is muted, just because of the way that it works, just for ease, especially when there's multiple people, that not everybody's talking at the same time. The mic can be unmuted for specific people if they want to ask a question by raising their hand, which we'll show you now. The next icon is the maximize or minimize the presenter screen, of which, if you want to see the full screen of the presenter, you just click on that. and it will show you the entire screen without any other opening cameras or control panels. Okay, this is the raising of the hand. So if you're really desperate to ask a question, you can raise your hand, and I will, as the moderator, unmute your mic so that you can pose the question. But obviously we prefer that you ask the questions through the question and answer or chat, which I'll show you now. Okay, the speakers. So this is where you'll see your speakers. As you can see, the microphone, your microphone's muted. But this is where you can see or test your audio, where it says there speakers. So that'll be your settings of speakers, and if you'll be able to hear when the presenter is speaking. You'll see the green light going up and down as they speak, just to make sure you can hear clearly. If you've got any problems with audio, just send us a message, and we'll try and sort it out if possible. Okay, handouts. Some presentations will have handouts. This particular one doesn't have a handout, but we will indicate during the webinar if there is a handout, and if you click on the handout button, you can then download the handout to look at during the presentation or afterwards. Okay, the questions, this is key for you guys to get used to. Play around. If you open that question tab and you type in the bottom, you can communicate with the moderator, and we can then pose those questions to the presenter for him to answer. Okay, and once you've typed it in, you click send, and then it'll appear in the box with all of the questions and answers. You will only see your questions, and you won't see everybody else's questions. Okay, so this is what you should be seeing. So if you're not seeing it, or you might see something different, but you should see the presenter screen definitely, and you should see the camera of the presenter if it's switched on. Sometimes we switch the cameras off depending on the internet connection and the quality of the sound. So I'm just going to switch my camera on again. So there you see the camera as well as the screen. Okay, so we'll now are going to start the presentation. So I'm going to welcome Lee Smith, who's going to do the presentation on calculating the right call-out fee for your business. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Okay, welcome guys. Thanks for joining us on this specific session. I hope you can all hear me. My name is Lee Smith. Some of you might know me. I'm the current president of the Institute of Plumbing of South Africa, but that's just a title, guys. When I'm sitting here today is I'm actually like a little businessman like yourselves. All right, and I'm here to talk to you about calculating the correct call out for your business. And let me just quickly put my camera on so you can see that I am a real person and I'm not just sitting there and somebody that is not behind a computer or whatever it is. I'm here, and like Gary said, I'm not going to we're not going to leave the cameras on, because what happens is we just slow the bandwidth down, and again, I don't want you guys to concentrate on my ugly face. I want you to concentrate on the presentation. So with that, I'm just going to switch it off. I'll bring it on again at the end, just to show that I'm still here from that perspective. But enjoy it, guys, and please, we want you to ask questions. And as Gary said, there is a CPD. This is a CPD program, so please pay attention, because there's a little assessment at the end if you want to earn your certificate and the CPD points from that perspective. And also at the end, we're going to be doing a little survey. Please, I ask you guys just to remain on for a little bit, just to do that survey for us, because it just gets us a little bit of more information back as to what, we want to, where we can go with the webinars, if it's good, if you guys enjoyed it, and it gives us a little bit, also ask a couple of questions about our sponsors and give some information back about that. Just a quick question, guys. Let's just quickly try the questionnaires. Tell me where you guys are from, just to get an indication. Just type in the chat bar where you guys are from. Cape Town, Pretoria. I see Mario Yonkers online. Hello, Mario. Glad to see that you're here. So go to the questions or the chat line, just type in Krugersdorp, Hector, West Coast, nice. So Durban East, Mossel Bay. So we got a nice, deepest, darkest Africa, Robert. And there we go. You're right, Robert, deepest, darkest Africa. I'm sitting in Centurion in Pretoria. So I'm also from this deepest, darkest Africa. Great, guys. So let's kick off then. Great. So for me, what you're going to be learning today, it's all about, as you know, how to compile a call-out fee. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at the actual elements that make up that call-out fee. And then once we've ascertained what those elements are, we're actually going to then break it down. And then we're going to break it down step by step, and then we're going to culminate it into an actual call-out rate. So at the end of the day, for me, guys, as an owner of a business and the guys doing the presentation to you, my objective to you, my objective or my wish is that at the end of this day, I want you to walk away and take away from this learning experience and be able to apply it in your own business. Because, very much so, dealing with the Institute and dealing with every other associations, we can only start making a change in our industry and making it better through a process of understanding. So guys, for me, I want to get that understanding across to you. Yes, to change the industry, go about changing the industry, but more so that you, as a business owner, can understand how to calculate your call out, take away from this, and apply it in your business. So, just out of interest, this has anybody, how many people, just raise your hands for me, has downloaded the actual app, this Plumbers app? Just out of interest, we got Mike, okay, 2, great. Got half the audience has actually downloaded that specific app. Thank you very much. I think you get to learn how we're using, a little bit more. Thanks, Zhang. Thanks for that. But guys, if you go into the app, you can actually, there's a little section under the Plumber's Rates Guide. You go into that little section there, and you'll actually get a calculator that is actually able to determine your call-out rate. So the principles or the process that I'm going to apply today is based on this app that you can find within the calculator within the app. And as you all know, well, those who don't know, the app is for free. So please go onto the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, and please feel free to download that specific app. And as I said to you, the principles that we are going to discuss today or apply today is based on that specific app. So let's move on. Right, so I'm sure you've tried to work out your own call-out fees. And today, there are many ways in which to calculate the call-out fee. We can make it extremely complicated. We can work on depreciation values, and we can get auditors in, and we can calculate this. But for me, the KISS principle, keep it straight and simple, right? And this is what I apply. I keep it as basic as possible. You can get it complicated, guys. You can go out and make it complicated, but I guarantee you, if I do that, my margin of error is going to be within 5%. So you can go do your complicated process, or you can do this simplistic, basic process, and the margin of error is going to be within 5%, guaranteed. Further, what I'm
Can I
going to...
interrupt you?
Yes?
The slide doesn't seem to be, the presentation doesn't seem to be going. Is it playing on your side?
Okay, I'll just double check quickly. Just hold on to. Guys, are you guys experiencing that as well? Just put up your hand. So you all experience it. Do you see the slides? No problem? Okay, so we're not experiencing any problems, guys? No problems. No slides. Okay, let me just quickly check on it. I'll just quickly work on it. Gary? I'll just quickly work on it and see what the problem is. Okay, let me go back one slide. Is it now changing, Gary?
I can see a different slide here now. Seems to be fine now. Okay. Cool.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what went wrong there. Okay, good. Thanks, Gary. Thanks for that. Okay, good. Okay, so I'll just take one step back and just talk about the app. I spoke about the app. I said you guys can download it. The methodology is based on that. Moving on. Okay, sorry, the methodology, we can make it very difficult for ourselves and be complicated in, but today I want to be simplistic. It's about basic principles. Apply the basic principles, the KISS principles. So, and I guarantee you, you can do your complicated calculations. I will be in a 5% margin based on these calculations. Also, I just want to just quickly add a disclaimer in that, guys, please don't come back to me and, if you make a mistake in the calculations and you come back to me and say, hey, you told me to do it like this, I want to just make sure that I don't get raked over the coals at the end of the day. But I can assure you, if you apply the principles, it is very sound principles that you can apply in your business. Great, so let's get into the lessons, guys. Right, so what is a traveling fee? Right, and I referred throughout the lesson, I'm going to refer to it as a traveling fee, or I'm going to refer to it as a call-out fee. But in general, we refer to it out there as a call-out rate. Okay, so as you can see there, very simple. A traveling fee is a fee charged to recoup costs incurred in traveling to a service call. And why do I call it a service call? Exactly what it is. You get called out for a service to replace a geyser, unblock a drain, travel to a site for a quote, or whatever it is. The reality, guys, is that this is a cost to your business, irrespective of how you promote it. The fact is, and more so in today's time, there's a cost and a time to traveling. I'm going to repeat that, guys. There's a cost and a time to traveling. I mean, numerous of times I see this sign coming about. No call-out fees charged. No call-out charge. The reality, guys, while there might be no call-out fee and there might not be a call-out charge, the reality there is still a cost attached to that specific thing. But I'm going to touch on that again later, this specific one. I'm going to come back to this specific slide about the call-out charge, because throughout the presentation I'm going to show and prove to you that there's no ways that this person can say there's no call-out charge. And I'll prove it to you with fact. Okay, so let's move on. So now, this is quite an interesting thing, because this is how our sector works. We sit there and we say, well, okay, how do I actually calculate my call-out charge? And the industry does it this way, or even your labor rates. We talk about our labor rates, is that we are outward looking. We look at others, and then we go and see what others do, and then what others do, then we design our businesses about that. It's not about what other businesses are doing. It's what's right for your business. You as the owner of your business, or potential owner of your business, is you should be knowing what's going on in your business. You shouldn't be looking at other people and saying, well, what are they doing? And then I'm going to copy that. No. Look what your own business in. Many times, And you, so let me just say, you get felt ashamed of charging a call-out fee. You know, I've got many times in my call center, people get called up and says, well, the person down the road doesn't charge a call-out fee. And then you try and get to be made ashamed that you're doing that. You know, when a person comes to me or a client calls me up and as they say to me, well, you know, do you charge a call-out fee? Because the next person does it. I just simply say to them, no problem, sir. Bring your problem to my offices, and then I won't charge you a call-out fee. So don't feel ashamed about charging a call-out fee or a traveling fee. The reality, guys, it's a cost to your business, and you need to recoup it. Okay, guys, we're going to do a poll now, right, just to get an indication of how things are going. So, Gary, if you can bring up our first poll. And the poll is, do you charge a call-out fee, right? And if so, what do you charge? And trust me, guys, this data you're going to give me, I'm not going to run and use it away. So please just click on, you'll see there's a little poll that's come up there on your screen. So let's just quickly charge, let's just see how many people actually charge a call-out fee, and if so, what it's about. Good spread. We're still waiting for a few people there. We've got 70% voted. Come, guys, 80%. We've got 2 more people just to give us a vote. 1 more. Okay, Gary. Just give it a few more seconds. Come, let's get 100%. Okay, Gary, let's stop the vote. Let's have a look. Okay, guys, let's have a look at that. So as you can see, there we have a look. 40% of the audience. Just share that quickly, Gary. There we go. So 44% of you said that I do not charge a call-out rate, right? 11% of, as you can see, and there's only 22% that charge 350 plus above. Okay, guys. All right, so Gary, you can take that away for us, please. Good, great, guys. So let's go back to our presentation. So again, you know what? Don't look at others. I'm taking you through this now. I'm gonna the next time we're gonna start getting into the little bit of calculations. But for me, it's about I want to put you in a position, right? So you can feel comfortable to calculate your fee, right? And then apply it in your business, as I said. Okay, so let's get into the elements that make up a traveling fee. So guys, there are, I'll say guys because there's no ladies in the room, I see, right? There are 2 main key elements that make up a traveling fee, and that is your physical costs or your running costs, and then your time-based costs, and the costs that incurred as a result of that you have wasted or used to travel that specific distance. So the physical costs are, I mean, it's pretty easy. The physical costs are what you would, so let's look at it different. Let's look at it like this. If you had a vehicle on the road in July and you removed that vehicle off the road in August, whatever costs you incurred in July that is not in August, that is your costs that you had to recover. Simple as that. So if you didn't have a vehicle on the road, whatever costs you had, that would have been your cost that you had to recover for your business to keep that one. Another way to look at it, every time you start your engine and run that vehicle, you're in for the following costs. Think about it. So what is it? Petrol, insurance on the vehicles, wear and tear on the vehicles, maintenance, your licenses, and if you live in deepest, darkest Africa on this side, your toll fees. Time costs, so let's just quickly move on to time costs. Time costs are recoverable costs that you lost while traveling to a service call. This is a little bit more complicated than doing the straightforward physical costs, but because there are many more variables calculated in this. But rest assured, guys, when we get to the calculation, you will clearly understand how we do that specific calculation. Great, so let's start on to the running costs. Okay, so we're going to do some. So guys, we can calculate a traveling cost for every single job that we do. We can sit there with a calculator or a formula, if you know how to use Excel, and you can type in all the variables. So when your client calls you up and he says, I live 50 kilometers away or 10 kilometers, you can type that in and it will spit an answer out for you, and you say to the client it's going to be X number of rands or Y number of rands. But I'm sure, just the way I've explained it to you guys, this is extremely complicated and very stressful. Just imagine your call center, yourself, your guys in the vehicles, trying to just do your business, and then a client calls you out, and then you're trying to do the calculations for your clients. So to make this less complicated, what we're going to do is you try and average out a call-out rate. Now, exactly the same way as the responses came back. You know, some of us said that I charge between now this much and this much. In other words, we've averaged everything out. Right, so we averaged out, generally I travel 20 kilometers to a client and 20 kilometers back. That's my general thing. Sometimes it will be 10, but other times it will be 30. So what we're going to do in all these calculations that we're going to do now, we're going to average things out. All right? But you're more than happy to go and calculate each call out, but then you follow the same principles that apply here. You can use exactly the thing. You just put in the kilometers that you want to travel, and then you can, how much time that it's going to take you to drive 20 or 30 or 40 kilometers. But the principles apply. But for us, most business people, the same as mine, I try and average things out, and then maybe every 6 months to a year, I'll redo the calculations. So I send out a new cost to the clients. All right, so let's move on. So now we're going to actually move on to the actual calculations. So the first step, what we're going to do is we're going to have to determine for your business what is the average kilometers that you drive to and from a client. So remember, you're going to drive to a client to do the work or to attend to the service call, and you're going to drive back. Now, in some cases, yes, we can debate that you might drive to the next job, which might be 10 kilometers, but I'm talking about averages. What if you don't get that? You need to come back again. So what we're doing is we're just averaging this specific process out. Right, so then over the years, you guys have determined, or if you're new in the business, you have to determine how many call outs do you believe or service calls you are going to achieve per day. So in this case, I've did 3. If you think that you're going to do 4, 5, but you can get that from the records of your own business. You know that you do 1 or 2. I see a question came in now from Robert. He's just asking the questions about construction, right? You can apply, I hear what you're saying, Robert, but you apply the same principle, yeah? The only difference is you're going to have 1 call out on this specific thing. So if your job is you use the same principles, we'll go through the same thing. The only difference is you say, let's say that construction company is 40 kilometers a day. So you'll travel 40 kilometers there and 40 kilometers back, because you don't drive all the way, all the time, all over the place. So therefore it will be 1. So you will just say 40, or in this case, if it was 40 to the job, you will just say 80 kilometers, because you're just doing 1 call out. But the principle applies exactly the same for construction. Right, so there we go. So what we do is we say, so now how many kilometers do I travel per month? So it is 40 kilometers times 3 service calls times 21 working days. You know, 21 and a half, 22, we just worked it out to be 21. So for the month, for 1 month, if I meet that criteria, I'll be traveling 2,520 kilometers in my vehicle or in the vehicle for that. And if we escalate it over a year, it'll be 28,000 or just close to 30,000 kilometers that you'll be traveling every year for that specific thing. So let's look at those running costs. Now, Depreciation on the vehicle. So for those who don't understand the word depreciation, depreciation means we have to devalue that vehicle, devalue your vehicle over a time. So you will know that you can't keep your vehicle forever. Yes, you can look after your vehicle and you can get a longer service running out of that specific vehicle. But the reality is we have to depreciate the vehicle. So if you go and speak to your auditors, they depreciate the vehicle most likely over, I think it's over 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, or 4 years, depending on which straight line they use. There's different ways of doing it. But depreciation is, I'm saying, in so many years, I'm going to replace that specific vehicle. So if we say, I've bought a vehicle for 160,000. Again, some people might be driving massive trucks, so you put that value in there, and we're going to say, well, in this case, I'm going to devalue that specific vehicle over 4 years or 48 months. Right, so we know we're going to devalue. So we have to recover over 4 years 160,000 Rand. So I'm sure you've all worked that out by now. 168,000 divided by 48 gives you 3,333 Rand. Right. So you, in theory, have to put aside or recoup 3,333 Rand each month to repay, to buy a new vehicle after 4 years. Now, many of you know that we use, well, in your business, you've actually leased the vehicle from the bank, and the reality is that money goes to the bank. So the net effect is you're recouping that cost to repay the bank. Right? And after 4 years, if the vehicle is okay, you carry on with the vehicle and you still recoup costs, because you don't stop because you don't have, if your vehicle's paid off, you still have to recoup costs, because what happens if your vehicle crashes and you get a new vehicle from the bank? Now all of a sudden you're going to start charging for a vehicle. You must always apply a vehicle cost no matter if you've paid a vehicle off or not. So if we take the 33,000 Rand per month, and we said, how many kilometers did we have travel per month? 2,520, right? Divide that into the 33,000. That means for every kilometer that you travel, you have to recoup 1 Rand 32. Marius, again, I did say about, and I just want to repeat myself, guys, is that if you had a bakkie that is paid off, that's great. You've paid it off. But the reality is that if you crash that vehicle, we'll have to replace it. All of a sudden, you're going to have to charge a call-out fee. The reality is that. So yes, you depreciated, you looked after your vehicle, so you were smart about your business, right? And you were clever by looking after your vehicle longer, then you can reduce the call-out rate. I totally agree with that. But to keep things consistently, there's still a cost incurred with that. And as I said to you, if that vehicle falls to pieces or has an accident, then you're going to have to now start purchasing a new vehicle. So you might not be paying it to the bank because you've paid it off, but you're basically paying it to another bank, and that's your own bank, which is a piggy bank, to say this is my vehicle piggy bank. So when I get to a point, I can take that money out and pay for it. Right, so let's look at tire costs. Okay, so tire costs, 40,000 kilometers. So we're going to replace every 40,000 kilometers again. If you buy better tires, you could do 60,000 kilometers. But for this calculation, I'm just saying 40,000 kilometers. It's the calculation we use in our business. Again, I think it's an average. It's a pretty average tire length of tire that lasts. And again, it all depends on how you drive as well. If you're doing wheel spins or handbrake turns, of course, your vehicle's going to depreciate, and your tires are going to depreciate much quicker or have to be replaced much quicker. So let's look at the cost of the tires. Cost of 1,000 Rand per tire. That gives us 4,000 Rand for 4 tires, right? Take 40,000 kilometers, which is the number of kilometers you can do on those tires, divided by the 4,000 Rand. That means you have to put, for every kilometer that you do, 10 cents away to recover tires. So every kilometer you do again, you're going to have to take 10 cents and put it into a tin, right, or whatever which way you want to do it. And so when you get to 40,000 kilometers, you'll have enough money in that piggy bank of yours to pay for those tires. Maintenance intervals. Now again, some people will come and tell me that we got, you know, you got your warranties built into the maintenance cost. You know, when you buy a new vehicle, it'll, you know, the warranties are included. The reality is, guys, don't kid yourselves. The warranties are built into those specific, you basically paid for it already. They just build it into the cost of the vehicle, right? So you can exclude this one, right, out of your thing if you've got a warranty in it because you've built it into your recovery or your traveling cost. But I'll leave it in 10,000 kilometers for your every service. Some might be more, diesels are more, as you know. Some might buy better vehicles, like maybe the Nissan Bucky has to do every 15,000 kilometers. Your cost of your maintenance, 3,500 Rand. You know where we're going with this, guys? Is that 10,000 kilometers, divide by 3,000 Rand. So therefore, 35 cents has to be put into that tin, that at the end of your 10,000 kilometers, you can take your tin and then go to your mechanic, whoever you do it with, and pay them the 3,500 Rand. This is a big one, guys, because this is quite a big variable that happens. Now, some of you might say, well, 13 Rand per litre. What the heck? Do we pay that much? Now, what I do in my business, you can go exact of the petrol rate is now. I don't even know what it is. Right? I try and overcompensate a little bit because the petrol prices changes every first Wednesday of every month. You're not going to go back and do your calculations every single month. You try and do a little bit over. If there's a big fluctuation, then you go and do the change if you feel it is. But just stick with a little bit over, 10% over. That should be fine. Right? So if it's 12 Rand, you put 1 Rand 20 on top of that, so it'll give you 13. So that's why I charge a little bit more, or add this little bit more in the calculations. Right, so a big one, fuel consumption. I see there that Robert uses a 3.3 litre V6, right? And he drives it very slowly, but I can assure you, you ain't going to get 10 kilometers per litre out on that specific vehicle. All right, so, but this is a big one, guys, because this is where one of your big costs lie, your running costs at the end of the day. So if your fuel consumption is 10 kilometers per litre, it's 13 Rand divided by 10, and it gives you 1 Rand 30 per kilometer. Right? Yes, there you go. Robert says he has to charge 3 Rand per kilometer on his V 3.3 litre. Right? So there you go. For every kilometer that you're going to drive with petrol, which is common with everybody, you have to recover 1 Rand 30 per kilometer. Simple as that. Insurance, exactly the same, guys. Insurance is taking your insurance per vehicle, 900 Rand. It might be a bigger vehicle, it might be a smaller vehicle, simply divided by the kilometers, right? Because you can't recover, you've got to recover irrespective if you travel 1 kilometer or you travel 500 kilometers or 5,000 kilometers per month, your insurance will stay exactly the same. But remember I said averages. On average, for this specific exercise, we've driven 2,520 kilometers, so we will use 2,520 kilometers as the basis. But even if we double that, your insurance is going to stay exactly the same. Isn't that so? But your cost per kilometer is going to change. Great, so the other one is, which people forget about, right? Toll gate fees. Again, you know, for us in deepest, darkest Africa, 220 Rand a month. Again, you can drive the back roads and get rid of that specific one, but we have to apply it in our specific interest. For those in Stilbaai and in wherever, Durban, PE, that one will fall away, right? Unless you're traveling big distances down the garden route or whatever it is. Your licenses, we all have to pay licenses at the end of the year, so it's 500 Rand per year, depending on vehicle what you drive, 42 Rand a month. Trackers, if some of you have got trackers in your vehicles, like we got trackers in our vehicle, we pay 250 Rand a month. So whatever additional costs that you have in, you put it in here, and we simply go back to the equation. So in this case, 512 Rand per month on all these specific things here, right? Divided by 2,500 gives us 20 cents per kilometer. So that's our running cost, guys. So we simply go and add up all the running costs, and we get to a grand total of R3.63 cost per kilometer. And if you guys want to do yourself a favor, go to AA, the website AA, go and put in all these parameters, and you'll see how you'll come out to a very similar cost to that specific one. Yes, your vehicle depreciation, if you're using 160,000 Rand, and I'm showing you, there it is. That's a true cost, guys. So let's get into the quick calculation. Now remember, we said that we're going to travel 20 kilometers to the client and 20 kilometers back. So R3.63 times 20 kilometers to the client, it's going to cost you R72.60, and exactly the same back from the client is R72.60, which gives us a grand total of R145.20. That is our running costs for our business on our vehicle to address 3 service calls a day. 3 service calls. Remember, we calculated it on 3 service calls. Okay. So, can you guys tell me, let's assume, let's say we had double the service calls. In other words, we don't have 3 service calls. We're now going to do 6 service calls. What do you think would happen to that 145 Rand per day? If you think that that 145 Rand will halve, right? Don't put up your hand. So put up your hand if you think that 145 Rand is not going to halve. If we do 6 call out, remember, if we do 6 call outs, is that 145 Rand going to be halved? Okay, so we had 2 hands up. Don't know if you understood the question, guys. We got 145 Rand, 20 cents for 3 service calls a day. Now I want to halve that. Do you think that rate will halve if we do 6 call outs per day? The reality is, guys, watch this. Everybody will think if I do 6 calls per day, it will halve. It won't even come close, guys. It'll only be 107 Rand. It will not halve. Because you're not doubling your calls, right? You're not doubling. And the reason why is that because the only 2 that you can depreciate on your running costs is your vehicle costs and your insurance costs, right? All the other ones are directly related to the number of kilometers that you travel. So if you do 6 calls a day, you're going to pay for petrol for 6 calls. If you do, you're going to pay for your tires on 6 calls. You're going to pay for your maintenance on 6 calls because you're just going to do your maintenance quicker. You're going to recover your costs quicker for that specific one. So let's quickly look at some time costs. I know we have to move along a bit, guys. We've got a couple of minutes. We might run a little bit over time. Guys, are we happy that we run a little bit over time? Just put up your hands. Are we happy with that? Just stick up your hands if you're okay with a couple of minutes over time. Come, good. Thank you. Thank you. I think everybody, if you guys can't make it, please, you're more than happy to leave. We are going to send a recording of this lesson. We are recording it at this particular point in time, so you will get a link to the presentation again, or the lesson again. You can run through it. It'll be up for 2 weeks. You can look at it before you do your assessment or do calculations from it or whatever it is. But anyway, so I'm going to ask you to raise your hands again. I'm just going to put everybody's hands down again because this is quite an important. Oh, so no, I lie. We're going to do. No, not now. Sorry, we're not going to do the poll now. Right. Yeah, let me ask the question, guys. Do you have to pay labor while driving to a call-out fee? You've got labor that's sitting in that vehicle. Do you have to pay for them? Yes or no? Let's put your hands up if you agree with me. Okay, so everybody says yes. Great, 100%. So everybody says that we have to pay for labor. So in my business, labor is a cost to me. So if a labor is a cost to me, then I must recover that cost, right? We have to cover that specific thing because I'm either going to use my labor to drive up and down to call out, or I'm going to stick them on a job to charge a labor cost and I can get that money back. So while they're driving, we need to recover that specific labor costs, right? We can debate it because sometimes people, are paid on a commission basis, right? But in generally for all of us, we pay our labor, so therefore we have to cover that specific costs. All right, so let's move on. So the main thing about the time costs, it's about speed and distance. All right, so, I might be talking about time, but to calculate it, we talk about the distance and the speed at which you'd have to travel. So how long does it take you to get to a service call? It doesn't take you half an hour. It takes you, if you're going to travel at 20 kilometers, if you have to travel 20 kilometers, at 20 kilometers an hour, it's going to take you an hour. So you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying, yes, we quickly calculate in our heads, it's going to take a half an hour. But to do the equation, we need to say, how far are you going to travel and at what speed are you going to travel? Now, us here in deepest, darkest Africa and in there we go, Hector indicated, it all depends on what town you are and what time of day it is, right? So we might be in Stilbaai, which we can get one side of the town to the other side in 5 minutes. We're in Gauteng, to get one side of town to the other side, depending on the day, right, it's going to take us longer. Right, and I'm going back to the fact we're basing it on averages. So just bear that in mind. Okay, so there again, if we're traveling at, we have to do the 20 kilometers at 40 kilometers an hour, it gives us half an hour, right? And 20 kilometers at 80 kilometers an hour, we can do it in 15 minutes. So let's go and look at that. So now, Gary, we're going to bring up our next poll now. So I just want to get an indication here of, to start off now, service fee, guys. I want to know, actually, how many of you actually know your true cost to be in business? In other words, I've sat down and I've done my budget, which in turn determines your hourly rate. So please, I put the polls up there, please, guys, just answer it. So you know, I'm going to answer it. I'm going to ask you again. How many of you actually know the true cost to be in business, your business, right? That I can sit at the end of the day and I say, I charge 450 Rand an hour, and I'm proud of it because I know it costs me that much to stay in business with. Great, we've got 90%. There we go, we've got 100%, Gary. Thank you. Let's close that up and share the screen. There you go, guys. A pretty even spread. The last session we done, we got a very even spread on that specific one. Yes, I would say that we got a little bit more that people know what costs to be in business, right? Okay, thanks, Gary. You can take that down. Back to our slide here, guys. We previously, on the previous slide, we all said, oh, we knew what cost is going to be. We knew that we have to recover that specific costs. So to recover that cost, or I can use my labor somewhere else, I have to know what my service fee or my labor rate is per hour. So in this case, I'm going to apply 450 Rand, guys, and I'm not ashamed of it. That's my labor rate. My current labor rate is 450 Rand an hour in Pretoria, right? Which I have to survive to be in business. Right, so we got an average speed of 80 kilometers, right? So who was in Pretoria? You get an average speed of about 80 kilometers, per day. That's what we average per day, traveling to and back from a job, right? And as I said, we got 20 kilometers that we travel, and that means we can do to that job, we can take 15 minutes to get to that job, right? One way, so therefore, if we take the 450 Rand an hour divided by 4, one way it's going to cost me 112 Rand, and the other way back is 225 Rand. So that's an actual cost that I have to recover, that I either recover by doing an actual job or recover the cost by driving up and down to a client. So let's bring this all together. Let's sum it up quickly. And again, based on the variables, we're going to base it on the variables, or not the variables, the averages that we put in. So we said in the beginning, it's going to cost us 40 kilometers to and from a client. The average number of calls we done is 3 per day. So therefore, we know that our running cost was 145 Rand and 20 cents. Our time costs were 225 Rand. So therefore, the total amount of traveling fee that we have to charge based on those variables is 370 Rand and 20 cents. Now, let me tell you something, guys. I want to just debate a point here, just before I go on to the next one. This one, as I said in the beginning, was a very complicated one that you can calculate. There's quite a few variables in that. Remember, the hourly rate had a big variable on it. But this one is reality, guys. You can't debate the fact that you pay for petrol. It's a true cost. It's a true cost to your business, right? It's not a hairy-fairy cost. It's a true cost. This one you can debate because you might, remember I said to you, you could send a guy to a job that only costs you, travels 20 kilometers, and then you send him to another job which is only 10 kilometers away. But you can then average that out to be 30 kilometers a day and not 40 kilometers per day. So that will reduce that specific cost. But this is the crux of the matter, guys. I want to show you something here. I want to go back to this no call-out charge. Now, it's quite interesting that I sit here and every time I see this specific one, and we go back to the polls, the bulk of you said no call-out charge. Now, I understand it might be a ploy for you guys or the way you market your business to get people to come out to you. I've got no qualms with that, and it's a good marketing strategy. It's nothing to be sneezed upon. But let me ask you guys, the reality is, you, even though you say no call-out charge, if that is the case, you still have to recover 370 Rand, depending on what your equations are, on that rate. You have to still recover that. So how are you going to recover that in a 1 hour call-out rate, including, there was a gentleman that says, yeah, there was one guy, I don't know who it was, it says he included the first hour labor. So that's how you sold it. But now go and look at this. Let's make an assumption that your labor rate that you charge in your area is 150 Rand, a mind-boggling 150 Rand, right? So now, if you charge 150 Rand, which replaces your labor rate, this time cost to business, what do you think your cost is going to be? Your cost is still 220 Rand. So when you say no call-out charge, and your hourly rate is 150 Rand, how are you going to recover 120 Rand in 150 Rand per hour labor rate? Guys, it's impossible. It's not possible. So you physically, if you're charging 150 Rand, including the first hour or the call out, you're going to have to be charging a minimum of 350 Rand. Sorry, 370 Rand. A minimum. That's reality, guys. The figures are telling you that. And that is why I say to you, when I see a no call out charge, I just go, impossible. It cannot be true because the figures are telling you need to recover that costs. Now, as we're getting to the end of the show here, so I'm going to take a few questions just now, but I just want to just let you, some people ask, there are big factors that influence your call-out rates, right? And those big factors are your time. Remember, we spoke about that. So if your labor rate is much lower than a 450 Rand, that influences it a bit, but not by much, don't get me wrong. The other one is the other big factor that influences is your petrol. In other words, if you can drive, instead of driving a V6 or whatever it is, you try and keep your petrol costs low, right? So the more economical your guys can drive or that you can drive, that has a big bearing on that specific one, right? And your vehicle costs. In other words, if you're driving a 500,000 Rand vehicle versus a Nissan 1400, that has a big cost factor in recovering your specific things. All right, so with that, guys, we are running, we're just basically on time for completing, but I do want to take a couple of questions before we kick off. So Gary, you can come aboard, please. I don't know if there's something specific.
Lee, we've answered most of the questions, but here's one from William. Now, sometimes you drive all the way for a quotation. What then?
Okay, so a very good question. The reality is, and remember I spoke in it was from William, did you say? William.
Yes.
Okay, so is it a cost to your business, William? It is. Isn't that so? So you have to recover that specific cost. Now you can average it out and say, well, guys, I do get, every fourth one that I do, I get a job. So you can build it into that specific job. But in my business, if it's within 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers, I do not charge the rate, right? I do not charge a call-out fee and a labor time. But if I do, one of the things which I do, and the bulk of the time I do charge a call-out rate for a quote, I say to the client, and it's a trick that I do, I say to them, look, I'm going to charge you. Alternatively, bring your house to me, and I'm more than happy to quote you, right? Or alternatively, I'm going to charge you the fee, but if I get the work, I will discount it by that specific rate. So that's the way I do it. But I would encourage everybody to charge for a call out. Work it out, guys. When you got your video machine broken, who comes and picks it up? Or not your video machine, I don't know who works with a video machine, but your DVD player or your fridge, right? You basically take it in. Or if they don't take it in, they're going to charge you to bring it, they're going to charge you to pick it up. So why should we be any different? Why should the plumbing industry be any different? Go and speak to the TV repair guy, the fridge repair guy, the gate motor, the electricians. They all charge call out. So why should we be any different? I'm getting on my high horse already.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mark's asking, my call-out fee is $650, including first hour labor, and then $350 labor after that. Is that fair?
Okay, well, Mike, again, I can't, again, don't ask me. You should know the cost to be in your business, but I understand what you're asking. If you go and do the cost to be in business, you'll come out with a rate. But at the end of the day, that rate must also be what the industry is asking for. But it's the important thing for you, Mike, and for the rest of you is you should know what your rate is. Don't let the market dictate to you what you should know your rate is. You first know what your rate is, and then adjust your rate to the market and work it out that specific way. Just for interest, guys, we just launched on the app. If you go into the app, there is a new calculator in there, which will show you how to calculate your call-out, your labor rate for you as well. But we're going to be doing a session like this in the next 2 weeks with exactly that. So please join us again, and then you can get comfortable in determining that 350. Where are you from, Mike? Which area you're in? Again, I don't want to get myself caught in a twist, but the average rate around here in Pretoria, we're talking about, well, again, you got to compare apples with apples. So you're talking about a 450, 550 with an operation that I run, similar to an operation that I run. But I think it's a very fair rate if you are a service provider, a small service provider, one.
We seem to be losing you.
Gary?
Lee? Seem to be losing you there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hearing you, Gary. So the next question, is there anything else?
Look, most of them, I think there's confusion between the call-out rate and the labor rate. So
Yes,
obviously, okay. One's wanting to obviously bring in the labor rate into it. So I think that's confusing a bit of the guys.
Yeah. Okay. So I hear what you.
Questions on that.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Gary? Is it all right? So
don't get confused. The sound is much better.
So what's important to remember, guys, you need to ascertain what your labor rate is in your calculation of your traveling fee, because you have an expense for labor, and therefore you just need to calculate it in there. But as I said, this has been recorded, guys, so you'll get the link in the next day or two. Please feel free to go through it again. But join us on the next how to calculate your labor rate or your service fee, and maybe it'll make a little bit more sense.
Okay, thank you, Lee.
Now, like Robert, the labor rate should be 2,800 Rand. I agree with you. The reality is, guys, if you go and do the calculator, let me shock you now. Go and do that calculator, and if you come on the next course, you guys will be shocked what your true cost to business is going to be. The true cost to your business. And this is what we're going to do. Now, I'll end off with a little bit of a speech. We, as an industry, should be dictating to the sector what we should be charging, not the sector telling us what we should be charging. And that is the mindset that I'm trying to bring across to you guys, or what we're trying to do. From the Institute of Plumbing, right, which is also a sponsor to this course, right, and PLUMBLINK as well. But with that, Gary, right, I'll sign off from this specific side because I don't think there's any other questions. We just hit the nail on the head, 7:02, right? Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time. Just remember, please, guys, we do have a survey afterwards, right? Please just fill in the survey because it helps us, gives us a little bit of, and I truly hope you enjoyed the course. Gary, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Well done. I'm sure you guys got a lot of value out of that. Just again, thanks to the sponsors PLUMBLINK and our OPSA. Just remember to complete the survey. We really need your feedback so that we can continuously improve the way that we carry out these sorts of webinars. And then just remember, we will send you a link afterwards with the link to the recording as well as to the CPD assessment where you can do the test, and if you pass, you'll get your certificate that you can submit to PRB for the allocation of those points. Also, we will be coming, the Institute of Plumbing will be publishing a pricing guideline which will also include tools like calculating your service rate and your call-out rate over and above. Obviously, that's available on the Plumbers app. But thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoyed, and just remember to keep seeing what webinars are available going forward. Thank you. Cheers.